my distinct honor and pleasure before this large gathering to introduce the family of C. Blythe Andrews, Jr. He has 5 adult children, 13 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, his brother, many nieces and nephews, and countless in-laws. Time will not allow us to introduce all of everyone here, but I do want to go down the list that's been provided to me and introduce those persons. In fact, I'd love for his family to come and stand here, and then eventually we'll have remarks. But it's an honor to be able to introduce his wife for 54 years. Let's give her a hand. Now, 54 years is a long time. And people today don't stay married 54 days to my 54 years. But Miss Gloria Jean Adams Andrews was married to C. Blythe Andrews for 54 years. What a joy it was to attend their 50th wedding anniversary. What a joy it was. And you still look beautiful and young, too, I tell you. All 5 of his children are here. I'm going to ask Gail Renee Andrews to come forward this time. We serve together on the Fair Authority. Sybil K. Andrews, come forward this time. Dr. Susan Andrews Blanchett from Sacramento, California, will you come? C. Blythe Andrews III and his wife, Sylvia. Dr. Nancy Andrews Collins of Little Rock, Arkansas. Let's give them a round of applause at this time. Now, 8 of his grandchildren are here, and so I'll call their names at this time. And if they want to come, maybe they can stand behind their family in front. However you want to do that, be fine. Okay, 8 of the grandchildren: Douglas Thornton, Allison Well Klebert, and her husband Richard. Good to see Alan. She's well, product of King's Kid Christian Academy, our church school. Dominic Blanchett of Sacramento, California. C. Blythe Andrews IV. There's Ayla Andrews. Ayla. William Wallace Andrews, IV. Adams Andrews. He's real happy. Hermione Andrews, thank you for that clarification. Hermione Andrews. Then his brother, Dr. W. Andrews, and his wife, Nancy. Also, I would like to recognize other family members and ask them to stand at this time, please. Other family members, if they're here. Let's give them a round of applause. The staff of the Florida Sentinel Bulletin, please stand, be recognized. Come on, let's give it up for them. Let's give it up for this staff. And then the staff of Tampa Park Apartments, please stand.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so very much for coming. My family and I would like to sincerely thank everyone who came out to honor Dad today. This process, I think my comments are because I told my mom the history of the library that I think a lot of people didn't know. And she said, you need to tell that story. First, I want to tell you how this process came about. And Council Chair Scott was the person who planted the seed. He called me for months saying, Kay, we need to name something after your dad. And I said, okay, I'm thinking about it. I talked to my mom, I talked to my brother, I called a couple of people and said, well, what can we name after Dad? You know, Chairman Scott keeps calling, wanting to know. He even had his assistant, Belinda, call me a couple of times. So after he announced it in council meeting, Mayor Pam Iorio called me as well. And she said, Kay, well, we want to name a street after Dad, but we just want to name the street right in front of the office. And I was like, if you're not going to name the whole street, I don't think so, you know, because Dad did everything all the way, never anything halfway. So I was like, okay, let me really think about what we want to do. So after, I don't know, you know how the Holy Spirit sometimes comes over you. And for whatever reason, I thought about the College Hill Library, and I said, that's it. It represents who we are. It represents the written word. It represents the community. It's all about the community, and it would be a fitting honor for Dad. Now, some people said, that's not big enough, but I said it's as big as it should be, because it has impacted many lives over the span that it's been here, and it will impact lives over the next generations. So we got the ball rolling. Well, as everyone who knows government, the libraries do not fall under city government. So we were like, okay, how are we gonna do this? And I had a conversation with County Commissioner, who was the chair at the time, Ken Hagan, and I spoke to him about it, and he was all for it. So between he and City Council Chair Scott, as you can see, politicians do work together, we were able to get this ball rolling, and Chairman Scott went before the County Commission Board to make the request, and Chair Hagan took it from there. And they had Mr. Stein come, and he said he didn't think it would be a problem. He would take it before the library board. They had not convened, but they pretty much made a decision among themselves that this was going to happen. But we all know it was nothing but God, because that's what the basis of all of this is about. And how fitting it is, because I would like to share with you how this library got here. The Deltas, and I know some of my sorors are saying, what? You know, because I'm with the other sorority, were tutoring young people at the library that they had in Eastgate back in the day, the early 80s. And my girlfriend, which was one of my best friends, Janet Myers, who is a Delta, was tutoring a young person who lived over here in College Hill. Well, they made the decision, because of budget constraints, that they were going to close that library. And that meant that they were going to have to take the kids somewhere else. They didn't know where. Well, Jan had a client. She was a stockbroker at the time by the name of Joanne Hoyt, who was on the library board. And she told her about the plight of the community and the fact that the library was going to be taken away. So Ms. Hoyt told her that other libraries had friends of the library, and that you guys needed to form a Friends of the College Hill Library in order to get the ball rolling to build a library. Well, Jan called me, being her friend. She called Gussie Louise Livingston. She called Rosalie Hill and Fred Moore, and some other people, but we couldn't remember the rest of them. And we went before the library board to plant the seed that we needed a library in this community. Well, of course, they said, well, y'all got to figure out how you're going to get it funded. So, in other words, y'all aren't going to get a library because there are no funds. We're closing these other libraries. So, of course, we don't take no for an answer, and anybody who knows me knows I don't take no for an answer. So, Jan was like pushing. I went to my dad, and I talked to him about it. He said, well, we have Reuben Padgett on the county commission board. That's what he meant when he said he would come and tell him what to do. So he said, meet with Commissioner Padgett and see if you could get funding for the library. Well, Jan and I met with Commissioner Padgett. Mr. Padgett was on the county commission board at the time. And he said, oh, I'll see. And, of course, he had all of his friends. He knew he had enough votes on the board to get the money earmarked. The money got earmarked for the library. The next step was to try and find the land. Well, Dad was the grand president of Lilly, and I think that's one organization that wasn't recognized, and I see some of our members here. So just kind of wave your hand, the members of the Lilies, just kind of wave your hand. The Lilies is a burial society, and they own part of this land that this library now sits on. Dad I'm sure he didn't give it to him for free, because that just doesn't seem right as far as Dad is concerned. But I know, I said I didn't want to make the statement that he donated the land because I couldn't verify it. But I know he gave the land for a very low price. So we had the land, we had the county commission to fund it, and it was just about getting it built. Well, needless to say, Mr. Padgett didn't win the next election, so the money kind of got earmarked for other libraries, and Commissioner Phyllis Buzansky came to the office one day, and she wanted us to support something, and I said, we can't support it. And she was like, why? I said, because you guys took the money off the table to build a College Hill library, and Dad is not happy about this. We're not happy. So if you put that money back, then we'll support you. Oh, bend our arm, okay. So she said, hey, whatever works, people. That's what we felt, because it was all about the children. And that's how this library came about. So the significance of this library is that our history is etched in it. We appreciate the people who made this possible. We understand how this came about, and we know Dad would be proud. So I thank you all for coming today. I see many of my friends and club mates and people who took time out, my godmother and cousins, and everyone came to help us honor him. Thank you once again.
Now we will ask the family to unveil the